it's almost sort of self-evident truth to say that the economies will be suffering. My own view is that we cannot have a clearer view on how much the damage would be, because we have still not seen the other side of the virus. So I keep saying that it is not our policies or our choices that will decide what happens, it's the virus who will decide. And what I mean by that is really, so even if you talk about opening up, for example, it is absolutely clear that the opening up will not be like a 1-0 thing, right? It is not as if one day everything opens up and we go back to December of 2019. Okay? It's very clear that the opening up is going to be gradual. There will be a fair degree of constraints on people, on what they do, how they do, even after opening up. And a lot of would be self-imposed constraints. People will choose not to go to restaurants. People will choose not to go to movies. And it is not clear to me how long that lasts. I mean, some people say it might be for a couple of years. Some people say no, 6 months. And all of those are unknowns. So that is one factor, which is that we don't know the pattern of opening up and therefore how fast the recovery would be. Second thing we don't know is government action. Now, obviously, we had a big announcement in India. But my view is that as this crisis progresses, there will be more announcements that will be coming. I mean, not all of them may be of economic nature, but all manners of other sorts of announcement that might have impact on the economy in India, elsewhere in the world. So I think again that the nature and extent of government response will also unfold as we go on. So that's the second unknown we have. The third unknown we have is that while right now people have started assessing what I call the first order impact on businesses, the revenue loss and profitability loss, what are the more longer term implications? And by that I mean not necessarily mean all negative one, but how is customer behavior going to change? What impact it will have, over what period it will change? All of these things also are still not fully figured out, and therefore I feel that we still don't know the true nature of the economic impact. I mean, I kind of back of the envelope. Today we look at the impact on India for FY21. There ranges from 0.5% growth to -5% growth, so like 0.5% growth to 5% contraction. I mean, I'll probably today err on the more to 3 to 5% kind of contraction side, but it's a pie in the sky. I mean, it's like a guess as good as any other guess. It could as well go to 8% if things don't improve quickly, or it might, if we recover fast, miraculously, then it may not be that bad. In India, we have additional uncertainties like how does the monsoon turn out to be. We could have a lot of supply side issues. So even if the markets open up, because supply chains have now got completely. And the last thing I'll add to those three factors that I mentioned is that even if we open up, I feel that there might be instances of repeated lockdowns, at least in some pockets, because suddenly you will see an outbreak somewhere. And that would permanently kind of keep challenging supply chains of all sorts. So given all of that, I am reasonably convinced that we are going to have a contraction this year of our GDP. How much and all is, I think, anybody's guess today. I wrote an article some time ago where I said you have a set of bad choices. And what I mean by that, it is absolutely clear that government has to spend money. It has to spend money it doesn't have. So then with that comes the issue of where do you raise that money from? And every time government chooses to raise money, it's never good news, because then they are depriving somebody else from that money. So if you take away household savings, which otherwise somebody else could get, that's putting it very simply. Now, if you look at the package carefully, actually there are two announcements the government made. The first one, actually, suddenly people seem to have forgotten, and that announcement was increasing the annual borrowing program. So the budget had talked about 7.5 lakh crore, they took it to 12 lakh crore. And the expression that time given was that it accounts for both incremental spending as well as loss of revenue because of lower taxes and so on. Now, I was trying to reconcile that 12 lakh crore borrowing number with the 220 lakh spending, the stimulus so-called that was called. And then I figured out, as details started coming in, they're still coming in as we speak, that the actual cash spending out of the 20 lakh is only about 2 lakh crore. For example, the guarantee is not a cash spending. It's a promise. It will come over a period of time. Putting capital into bank is not cash spending. It's capital into banks. So actual cash spend was really around 2 lakh crore is what I could figure out. I could be wrong. That ties in well with that 12 lakh number, because my view is that the incremental 5 lakhs could be 2 lakhs additional spending, 3 lakh loss of revenue. So the 12 lakh crore incremental borrowing. And so now the big question is, how does government finance this? So we'll 10 lakh crore. Now, historically, the government finances by issuing bonds which are bought by banks and insurance and so on and so forth. So which is basically raising money from the market. Will the market have enough depth to absorb additional 5 lakh crore? I mean, I think currently there is easily enough debt because the banks have put 8.5 lakh crores with the RBI. So there is no issue about banks or insurance companies not having money. The real issue would be what impact it has on interest rates and so on. The day government announced that incremental borrowing, the 10-year yield moved by 20 basis points. So clearly rates would harden, and that's not good for many other things. The other choice the government has is to borrow from the RBI, this so-called monetization, which has its own set of implications in terms of, again, market sees through that and the rates would harden and so on and so forth. So those two to me are important choices, which is how much government spends and where, and secondly, how it finances. Now, as the stimulus package is being explained, we are beginning to get somewhat better sense of how much and where. What it is not yet telling us is how does the government finance it. I think that will become clear as we watch the monetary actions of the RBI. But that's where we are. I think my own view is that no matter what choices we make on either one of these questions, our rates would harden because there is just going to be higher levels of borrowing, and that has then the second order effect. Borrowing cost goes up for everybody. Anyway, right now there is not much credit demand, but generally speaking, you have to live with increased interest rates. And the second thing is, anytime the deficit of the government widens and there is a lot of borrowing, that money keeps sloshing around in the system, there is always a risk of inflation. Right now, people keep making this claim that right now we don't have inflation, is very low, or actually there might be deflation, but at the right now is very important. We are so vulnerable to supply shocks that the moment there is an uptick in GDP, and if there is a supply shock, you might suddenly see inflation spiking up. And so that's something that we have to watch out for, because that's an inevitable consequences of some of the choices that are going to be made.